Hello everyone. When I started my career, I gradually observed that there are a lot of young, brilliant professionals. When they first started their career, there are some common mistakes that they may make that could actually be detrimental to their own career path. Probably myself have also made quite a few of them, and in order for you to better avoid those mistakes, let's see what they are and how possibly we can overcome them. The first mistake I see is a lot of young, brilliant professionals may think other people actually know more than what they do, especially when they enter their career just as after a bachelor's degree, where most of their colleagues do have a PhD degree, or when the case that they have to work with senior people who have more than 20 years of experience. But what I'm going to say is this might be true for a lot of cases that other people do know a little bit more in a certain domain area because of their more than 20 years of experience. But this shouldn't prevent you from taking either ownership or express your opinions. This is a perfect opportunity to learn and grow yourself both professionally and personally. There is a book that does describe the situation. It's called The Secret Thoughts of Successful Women. It's by Valerie Young. Admittedly, myself didn't read the full book, but this book talks about an interesting phenomenon that might bother a lot of us, especially women. It's called imposter syndrome, which describes the phenomenon that you may think you do not deserve what you have, or you are not as smart as other people. In my opinion, for someone who started their career early with a bachelor's degree may actually have an advantage over the people who obtained a PhD. This is because they're young and there are just plenty of opportunities for them if they are eager to learn and do a very good job. The things that could bother a brilliant person with a bachelor's degree could come from the thought that they do not know as much as someone with a PhD, which I can tell from my experience this is not true. So for a PhD, what they might have an advantage over is the ability to solve a problem or to solve a difficult problem, because they're trained systematically of identifying a problem, investigating the problem, and solving the problem with almost 5 years of study. And this gives them the ability to quickly identify what tool can be used to solve the problem. While for a bachelor's, you may not be trained systematically as much as a PhD, but this is also your opportunity to improve yourself. For the knowledge domain itself, because a practical engineering problem, for example, can be so complicated and it touches multiple aspects, and it would result in the contribution of a whole team. Only a few PhDs touching a few areas may not be contributing as much as a full group of bachelors who actually have a lot of different insights. So don't worry if you're concerned, okay, I do not know as much as you do. What you might want to focus on is how can I contribute? What additional perspective I might bring to this problem, and what is the additional value that other people may not know. And even if you are still suffering from imposter syndrome, when solving a problem or working with a lot of experienced people or highly smart people, what I might recommend you is to try to express your opinion. And you might want to be modest and say, in my opinion, oh, this is what I see, to soften your language a little bit so you do not feel as aggressive. The second point I want to bring here is, especially for girls, is if you enter your career, do not be viewed as a nice girl. This is especially important because when you are raised, your parents might tell you, okay, you want to be a nice girl and you might want to behave differently than some of the naughty boys. And this could bring a certain silo to your career. The book that I'm recommending here, I just finished reading the whole book, is called Nice Girls Do Not Get the Corner Office. And the reason I read about this book is I do think myself can be viewed as a nice girl sometimes, although I really try to avoid this opinion. So in this book, there are about 130 mistakes that the author mentioned, although for myself, I do not agree with all of those mistakes. And for me, I may only commit a few of those mistakes rather than all of them. Overall, the opinions book is something I really agree. That is, inside a career, you do not want to be viewed as a nice girl, and instead, you should be viewed and respected as a mature woman, a colleague which is very capable. Being a nice girl, the image itself could even hinder your career advancement or promotion. In my opinion, one of the things that you can do to contribute to the image of being a nice girl is just agree with a lot of different things without really expressing what you really want. For example, there might be a situation when you are put to a project and you know that project may not end well. The better way might be using your negotiation skills and say, I may have some concern over this project to your supervisor or team lead, but a nice girl may simply say, okay, I will do that. And then a lot of the situations people might see you are inclined to agree. And in this situation, people may actually take advantage of this and put you into some projects that may not necessarily have a bright future, and this may hinder your promotion. And again, I do recommend that book, but read that book with some critical thoughts. Is what described in the book actually fits your company culture? The third mistake I'm gonna talk about here is do not have a good relationship with your supervisor. This could be a problem and could be very detrimental to your career because you may lose your sponsorship. In a company, the relationship among your colleagues could be way more complicated than you were in school, because in school it's just your fellow classmates and your professors. But inside a corporate, you may have your supervisor, your team lead, your project lead, your advisors, your peers, or your mentors, and all of this could form a very complicated network. And sometimes you'll wonder, what should I say in front of them and how should I behave in front of them? What if my opinion is very different from my supervisor's opinion? Will that bother my performance assessment and actually hinder my career, etc.? So maybe the short answer is yes. If you do not get along with your supervisor, it may hinder your career development. And in this situation, instead of avoiding the problem or worsening the problem, what I highly recommend is think through the conversation between you and your supervisor. What could be the difference between two of you that's actually leading the conflict? For example, is that a personality difference? Is that a different way of treating the business? Or do you understand where his point comes from? In my opinion, most of the time, your interest and your supervisor's interest should be directly aligned, because the better you do, the more successful your supervisor is going to become, because to some extent, his or her success will depend on the direct reports success. And in this case, if you still have trouble getting along with your supervisor, just think about the difference and focus on the similarities instead of the difference. If you and your supervisor have different working style, but you do have the same goal, okay, let's focus on the goal rather than different working style. If sometimes you feel your supervisor is asking for unnecessary or even unreasonable request, think in his position, is there a reason why he's asking this? Or are you actually misunderstanding his or her standpoint? Or is something what you want to do actually does not align with a bigger picture, the final objectives of all the deliverables of the business? And those can all contribute. In some cases, a better communication way is trying to listen and understand rather than rebut in your own mind or even express your different opinion immediately. Try to understand and say, what is my supervisor asking and what myself really want to do. Try to align the final objectives and moving forward. And in this case, a lot of the times you will end up having a much better relationship with your supervisor. Okay, those are all my 3 suggestions for young professionals. As you can see, myself is also a young professional, so what I really hope is in this case, we can move along together in a professional way. Thank you.